For 100 years, Africa has sent the world its cocoa in sacks and gotten them back in shining wrappers. Painful parties. Africa does not even control the market of cocoa. Meanwhile, it is being grown in our continent, Africa. But then, things are about to change. The biggest business in cocoa is not about growing it. Rather, it's about processing it, because that's where you produce the chocolate bars, the coffee, and of the likes. But then, most of all this profit is being made outside the country. It's not made here in Africa. We only get about 10% of whatever we give out. On Tuesday, July 14, 2026, in Abuja, 4 African countries stood side by side and they said, enough is enough. No more exports of our raw beans to other countries. Welcome to Solid Finance Podcast, where we bring you finance and economic updates of things that are happening in Africa and the world at large. Let's dive right in. The first question should be, what really happened in Abuja? Why were there 4 African countries there in Abuja? What was the cause for this meeting? Well, Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon and Côte d'Ivoire, they are one of the top producers of cocoa in Africa. And so they had a meeting where all of them, came to deliberate about the raw material called cocoa. They signed a deal in Abuja, now called the Abuja Declaration, at the 2026 Cocoa Value Addition Summit. According to Punch newspapers, the 4 countries, which together account for about 2/3 of global cocoa production, are expected to sign the Abuja Declaration at the Cocoa Value Summit 2026 in Abuja, establishing a Cocoa Value Addition Alliance to coordinate policies, promote local processing, harmonize standards, and strengthen Africa's bargaining power in global cocoa industry. Together, these 4 African countries produce about 75 to 77% of the world's cocoa. During this meeting, Nigeria's Minister of State for Industry, Senator John Owan Enoch, made a very strong statement, and it was reported on Punch newspapers. For 100 years, Africa has sent its cocoa to the world in sacks and received it back in wrappers, paying at both ends of the transaction, said Senator John Owan Enoch, Honorable Minister of State for Industry, the summit. Distance between a bean and a brand is measured in jobs and in dignity. On Tuesday in Abuja, 4 nations begin closing that distance together. Do not gather to lament the market. We gather to redesign the market. This is very great coming from Africa. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, represented by the Minister of Agriculture, Minister Abubakar Kairi, declared that Nigeria will no longer export their raw cocoa to foreign countries. Alongside the declaration, Nigeria also signed the Cocoa Value Addition Accord, which means that Nigeria has also agreed that they will no longer export their raw beans. This domestic compact would bind the government, the states that produces cocoa, and the farmers. I'm very sure most of you are wondering, how did this meeting come about? What even brought about the alliance between these 4 African countries? Well, this meeting already happened between President John Mahama and President Alassane Ouattara. But then, the Abuja meeting is what brought these 4 blocks together. Africa produces about 75-77% of the world's cocoa. We actually pay so much for chocolate bar that if it were to be produced here in our country or in our continent, Africa, it would be way cheaper. According to statistics, it is recorded that these other foreign countries that export our cocoa sell it back at about $130 billion annually. Meanwhile, all of the African countries combined together earn only $10 million annually, earning, if not even less than 10%, or earning just 10% of what we sell out.
Cocoa growers here export most of their cocoa beans to Europe and North America, where they're turned into chocolate. Joseph grows 11 acres of cocoa. Every October, he and his family begin harvesting the yellow pods. It takes just 4 days. Joseph collects the pods and takes them to the breaking ground. Here, workers crack them open and remove the beans by hand. After farmers dry the beans, they're bagged up. About 70% of these beans will be sent overseas. Ghana processes only 30% of its cocoa beans domestically. In total, he packs 75 bags of beans a year. His income is about $27 a day. It's a high wage for a Ghanaian farmer, because Joseph grows organic cocoa without pesticides. But many farmers in Ghana live at or below the poverty line, earning less than $2 a day. That's because the majority of farms are small and aren't certified organic.
The math is very simple. These Europeans come to our country, buy our cocoa for cheap prices and then process it and sell it back to us at premium price. This is just one-way wealth. This is not a deal. This is not partnership. This is one-way wealth, because why are we earning 10% and then they're earning over 90%? This is very outrageous. Another issue is fragmentation. There's no unity amongst Africans. So if they're not buying from you, they'll go and buy from him, and then yours will spoil. Another common issue is politics. Everybody's trying to gain, because if you know anything about Africans, you know that money is our top priority. Some analysts are calling this alliance between these 4 African countries the OPEC of cocoa. OPEC came out for oil when all the countries in Africa who have oil came together to, agree on the prices they're going to be selling their oil. Now, we're seeing another OPEC of cocoa. This new alliance between these 4 African countries will set better standards and negotiate better deals for Africa. I'd like to read the president's remark according to Arise News. The president said, "We will grind our beans at home. We will press our butter at home. We will make our chocolate at home, brand it at home, and sell it to the world on our own terms." Tinubu disclosed that the investors are developing a 70,000-ton cocoa processing facility in Shagamu, Ogun State. He also described as the largest in Nigeria's history, has financing available for viable cocoa value addition projects. This means that the Bank of Industry has kept the finances ready. It is left for these 4 African countries to agree unanimously on actually building the facility. And the good news is that the cocoa facility is coming to Nigeria. A win for Nigeria is a win for all African countries. Don't forget, locally processed cocoa means local jobs for more people who are living in Africa. Now we've come to the glaring point. Declarations are not delivery. You've heard all of this before. We just hope that this alliance between these 4 African countries will come to reality. This new alliance will only matter to Africans if they take action, not just taking pictures and signatures. Before Africans will believe them, they need to start seeing and not just hearing. Yesterday was the oil sector from Dangote's refinery. Today, it's from the cocoa sector, the OPEC of cocoa. That is the alliance of these 4 great African countries: Côte d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Ghana, and Nigeria. Tomorrow, it can be lithium, it can be gold. Who knows? Do you think that this new alliance will bring progress to Africa as a whole? Or are these just mere words? Let's discuss in the comment section. Do well to like, do well to share, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Solid Finance Podcast, for more finance and economic updates like this. Until next time, bye for now.